Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the ILCC Brewers, Distiller, and Winery Special Events webinar. Today is November 17th, and I have with me Dushan Kamarian, and she will be providing some information about the Brewer, Distillers, and Winery events. If you have questions, please go ahead and type them out into the chat, the Q&A, and I will ask her the question. She will respond. This is strictly for the brewers, distillers, and wineries for their special events. Any questions that don't pertain to uh, this particular topic will be tabled for a different discussion. If the questions are more legal based, I will provide the legal email address in the chat so that you can reach out to them directly. So without a further ado, thank you, Deshanka, for joining us, and I hope that you all get some very valuable information out of this today.
Thank you, Nicole. I want to thank the attendees for joining us today. I'm going to go over a few things as they relate to special events in the manufacturing tier, which is our brewers, our distillers, and our wineries. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Give me 1 second. Perfect. So my name is Dushanka Marian, and I manage the licensing division for the State of Illinois Liquor Control Commission. I cannot do what I do without a great team that I have. Tara Womack is also a manager with the Springfield office, and we have our team members, Esperanza Guevara in our Chicago office, Danielle Daniels, Alejandro Torres, Carlos Palma Alarcon, and Stacy Long in our Springfield office. Just wanted to give a quick overview of the Illinois Liquor Control Commission's licensing division. We issue over 200 new liquor licenses on a monthly basis. Approximately, we renew over 2,000 state of Illinois liquor licenses on a monthly basis. And this includes full licenses in several different categories: airplanes, trains, liquor stores, winery shippers, out-of-state distributors, out-of-state winery shippers, manufacturers, special events, non-resident dealers, and we also review brand registration. The staff, as I mentioned earlier, we have staff in Chicago and also in our Springfield office. Illinois is a dual license state, and basically what that means is you have to have a local liquor license from your local jurisdiction. That would be the city, county, town, village, in order to sell liquor at retail to the general public. And you will also need your state license. So it's very important that you obtain your local approval first. And this includes, for those of you that are applying for special events, you have to have a local liquor license or local liquor license approval from your local municipality before you can apply for your state of Illinois liquor license. This year, we had one of our main focuses this year is to really encourage our licensees, our special event applicants, to apply via the mytaxillinois.gov option. And we are strongly encouraging those of you that are going to have special events in the near future. It is not too late to start planning now. One of the issues we had this year is just timing. We had a lot of licensees that may have waited only until a few days prior to the event to apply, and they were having issues obtaining their user ID and password information in order to log in via MyTax. So we strongly encourage you, please plan ahead to make sure you have access to your MyTax Illinois account. One of the main reasons applicants are not able to submit their special event applications timely is due to user ID and password resets. Event organizers should begin the process now to make sure that they have access to their MyTax Illinois account. So we strongly encourage you to start that process now of at least obtaining the access. So you're ready, when you're ready to apply, you have that information for your special event. We also have on our website some helpful tools and contact information, and you'll see this to the right of the screen. This information is also available on our website. One of the common questions we do get is, when do we need a special event license? What is the criteria for a special event license? And you do not need a license if you fall into the private party definition. Private party is an event where attendance is by invitation only. The host controls access to the premises, and alcoholic beverages are provided to invited guests and no charge. A special event liquor license is not required for a private party. So if you meet this criteria, high probability you will not need to obtain a special event liquor license. So the first special event license category I'd like to go over is the 4A non-for-profit license. And that is issued to non-for-profit organizations. They must be registered with the Illinois Secretary of State as a non-for-profit, and local approval and a certificate of insurance is required. The second type of special use permit license that we have is issued to an already licensed retailer. That is, for example, a bar, restaurant, somebody that has a license currently, and they want to participate at an event at another location. They would obtain a special use permit. And we get the question often, what is the difference between a 4B and a 4C? You may log into your MyTax Illinois account and you see both of these licenses, and you're getting ready to apply and you're not sure, which one do I use? If your event is one day, you would use the 4B license prefix. If your event is more than one day, you would use the 4C license prefix. Manufacturing tier special events. And this is what I kind of wanted to really focus on with today's webinar. I wanted to make sure that those of you that are in the manufacturing tier know what type of license, special event license you qualify for. What are your options? So I wanted to start out with the special use permit. Those are issued to the retailers that I mentioned earlier, but they're also issued to brew pubs. If you are a brew pub and you hold the 1C license prefix, you'd fill out a special use permit application. If you're a distilling pub, you would fill out, you qualify for the special use permit license. And also the wineries. If you have the winemaker premises license, which is the 1E, that's for your initial retail location. The 1J is for a second location, retail location that you may have as a winery. And then the 1U is the third location that you may have. So if you fall in, if you have this type of license, you can apply for a special use permit. What we've seen is we will have brewers that do not have this license prefix or not a brew pub try to apply for a special use permit. And you don't qualify for the special use permit. What you do qualify for as a brewer, if you are a Class 3 brewer, you hold the 7Y prefix, you can get a beer showcase permit. And in 21, actually, August 20th of 2021, Governor Pritzker signed legislation. It was Public Act 102-0442. And this is the new license beer showcase permit that was introduced. And this is for those craft brewers that hold a Class 3 brewer's license, that is the 7Y license. We've made some system enhancements in recent months to allow those of you that hold a Class 3 brewer's license to apply via MyTax. So any of these license types that I'm going over right now, the special in the special event category, you can apply for your special use permit via MyTax. You can apply for your beer showcase permit via MyTax, and also craft distiller permits. Also with the beer showcase permit, I mentioned the Brewers qualifications, the 7Y Class 3 brewer license. The next one is the distributor, and that is, if you're a distributor, if you're 2G, 2E, 2F, you qualify for the beer showcase permit license as well. It's a type of special event license, similar format as our other licenses as well. Then we have the craft distiller tasting permit, and that is issued to the distillery tier. So if you hold a 6Y license or a 6Z, you would qualify for the craft distiller tasting permit. So what are some of the reasons that an application is denied or cannot be processed? And one of the reasons for denials, I'll go over a few of them, but the first one is missing information. The application wasn't signed or the questions weren't answered, and that is, we see more of that if you're applying manually, in person, or via email. If you're doing it electronically, there are system alerts that are put in place where you can't move to the next screen unless you fill that out. That's another incentive if you're applying, when applying via MyTax Illinois, you pretty much know right away if you're missing some information. Applicant may not be qualified. This we've seen in the case of a special event not-for-profit. You may not be in good standing with the Illinois Secretary of State. You may not have filed as a not-for-profit organization with the Illinois Secretary of State. And then for some of our current licensees, you cannot apply for a special event type of license if your current state of Illinois license is not valid or you haven't renewed it. So that's very important. And one of the other items is you did not include a copy of your local approval or insurance. And once again, if you apply via MyTax, you can't submit unless you attach those two documents. And then finally, it's one of the things when we're reviewing the information is inconsistent information. It's so important that the information that you enter on your application, dates, times, address of the event, are consistent with your local approval and your certificate of insurance. We do want to make sure that we reiterate that that you provide us with consistent information as it applies to times, dates, for your event and address of your event. If we are not able to issue a special event, we will send a letter to you, a correspondence indicating what the issues are, and you definitely will have the option to resubmit. If a license is approved, we will email the license to you, or you can log into your MyTax Illinois account and just print it off from your correspondence and letters tab. I do want to mention, if a license is issued today and you applied via MyTax, you'll be able to view it and print it the next business day. And then finally, here's some important contact information that we've updated recently. Just an FYI, we participated in other webinars and meetings, and you may have seen this reference sheet with some of our contact information. The website address, the email addresses, excuse me, have changed just a little bit. In the past, our licensing inbox was lcc.licensing@illinois.gov. Now it's ilcc.licensing@illinois.gov. If you send us an email to lcc.licensing@illinois.gov, we'll still receive it. But I did want to just mention there were some updates to the inboxes, the email inboxes, if you have any questions. And our phone number is up here as well. And I included our inbox for our enforcement division and our inbox for our legal division as well. Please, if you have any questions, reach out to us. Our goal is to try to respond to these within, 1 to 3 business days if we can. and then please, if you have any questions, please reach out. That concludes the PowerPoint presentation, a few things that I wanted to focus on and go over. And now, there's some questions and answers. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those for you.
Thank you so much, Tashanka. We do have a few questions, so I'll start with the first one. What does a craft distiller's 6Y tasting permit allow a distiller to do?
Perfect. So that allows you to conduct a tasting. Does not allow for the direct sale of alcohol, but it allows you to conduct a tasting and have a tasting or sampling event. You definitely need to have local approval for the event that is from your local city, village, or town, and a certificate of insurance for the event. But it is, and you have to comply with the tasting rules, and those rules are 100.285. They're available in under our legal division. But it does allow you to conduct tastings as long as you have, to the general public, as long as you have this license type.
Thank you, Tashanka. Next question. We hold a dual license, but will this webinar answer exactly which license we need to rectify, bottle, and sell in our establishment?
So, and your bottling and selling, is it wine, is it beer? I do have some follow-up questions because it does depend on what type of license you have.
Okay. Bourbon, to be exact.
Sure. So if you hold that's considered, you may have a craft distiller's license, and maybe a Class 1 craft distiller's license or a Class 2 craft distiller's license. If you have one of those, so let's say you have a craft distiller's license and a Class 1 craft distiller's license that allows you to distill, sell your product at your premise location, the product that you manufacture in vermouth, and self-distribute if you have that Class 1. You don't have full retail privileges. If you have a distilling pub license, then you would have full retail privileges, but you cannot self-distribute. And also, if you have a distilling pub, you can get those special use permits. So, without knowing exactly what type of license, I kind of gave you the two different types of scenarios that we do see.
Thank you for that. Next question. What does a showcase license allow versus a special events permit?
Okay, so the beer showcase license, it is only those Class 3 brewers with a 7Y and distributors can obtain that license. That's what I wanted to first of all clarify. So it's only those two license types that qualify for it. A bar restaurant cannot obtain a beer showcase permit. And that allows you to sell up to 96 fluid ounces per individual. There is a limitation to how much you can sell of the beer, for this special event. So the difference definitely is, a retailer cannot get a beer showcase permit. It only is for those Class 3 brewers and distributors, and then it has the 96 fluid ounce limitation that can be sold to each individual.
Okay. Thank you. Next question. We have our liquor license and we are an event venue. We would like to host a wine and beer tasting event that will be open to the public. Do we need the special events permit or the vendors that will be on the property?
Yeah, no, that's actually a very good question. It's going to depend. It really is going to come down to the local municipality. So you mentioned your event venue. If you have a current retailer's license or if you have a current state license with us, the event is being held at your licensed premise location already, there's nothing additional you need. If you're an event venue and you don't hold a current liquor license currently, one option is to have a current licensed, it could be a winery, it could be a brew pub, distilling pub, or it could be a retailer obtain the special event type of license, a special use permit, for example. But that will depend on the local municipality as well. You always have to double check with the local jurisdictions because their criteria, they may be a little bit more restrictive.
Perfect, thank you. Next question, is there any mechanism that would allow a distiller to do an off-site event and sell to the public?
Currently, that is the only category where there is no option where they can sell directly to the public unless they are a distilling pub. A distilling pub can obtain a special use permit. So if you're currently a craft distiller or a Class 1 craft distiller, you can sell to the general public from your licensed premise location, self-distribute. There is that option where you can convert, if you want to participate in special events, you can convert your current license to a distilling pub, and then you can obtain special use permits, but you will lose self-distribution if you decide to do that.
Okay, perfect. We have a follow-up to the question regarding the question about the webinar answering exactly what license we will need to rectify bottles and sell it at our home. The follow-up is, what about bottles of wine? So at first was about bourbon, now it's about wine.
Okay, so if you want to sell wine out of your
establishment.
You want to sell wine out of your establishment, then you can obtain, if you want to sell it directly to the general public, you would need to obtain a first-class winemaker's license is the main license, depending on gallonage, but most of our wineries are a little smaller. So they would get the first-class winemaker's license, and then they would get the winemaker premises license.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dee.
No problem. But I will say, this is important to note, it's very important. There is an option if you want to, once you start crossing over and manufacturing different types. So you can, let's say you want to make beer and you want to make wine. One option is, due to recent legislation that I mentioned earlier, you can obtain, as a brewer, you can obtain a brewer's license and a Class 3 brewer's license, and then you can obtain a first-class winemaker's license and the winemaker premises license, okay? That's with beer. There are restrictions when it comes to, because there is no current option to do, distill spirits and make wine and have full retail privileges because, currently the law does not allow for that. So I do want to make sure it can get a little complicated, especially if you're venturing out and manufacturing more than one type of alcoholic product. There is a way to do beer and wine, but there are restrictions when it comes to distilled spirits and wine, for example.
Okay, same person asking another question. I'm just going to get this last one out the way. We only have our regular liquor license at this point, but are wanting to start rectifying bottles and selling our bottles at a bar, as well as use our products to serve in cocktails. Would we just need a distiller's pub rectifier, and will we need a distiller's pub rectifier and craft distiller permit? Well,
so it's going to depend on what type of federal license you were issued. Are you issued a rectifier's license and a distiller's license? So we would need, that information is very important to find out what type of federal licenses you were issued. So I suggest you definitely reach out to us with that information. You can email us at ilcc.licensing@illinois.gov and kind of give us a little bit more information in reference to what type of federal licenses you currently hold so we can, you know, it gives us a better idea of what state licenses you may qualify for.
Thank you, Dashanka. Next question would be, what permits do we need to sell bottles at a farmer's market in the city of Chicago?
Okay, wonderful. Do we know? So what I will say, and I'm guessing it's, you know, I'm going to use, say, wine, for example. You definitely will need local approval. Let's say you're a winery. You can get a special use permit with the State of Illinois Liquor Commission, as long as you have a current winemaker premises license. And you will have to reach out to the City of Chicago Liquor Commission to obtain local approval from them. And I can give you the number. One of the numbers I can share with you today is 312-744-6060. That's for the City of Chicago. That's for one of the divisions there, but also you can contact the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. They have a website, and there's some additional information that may be helpful for you in obtaining local approval for this farmers market. I'm glad you brought up farmers markets, because there's one thing I do want to clarify regarding farmers markets. Our special use permits will reference 15 days. And I just want to make sure, because we get this question a lot, it does not have to be 15 days, consecutive days. So let's say you're doing a farmer's market every Thursday. You can put 15 Thursdays on one application, okay? They do not have to be, the limit doesn't limit you to 15 consecutive days. If you have, you know, an event once a week, that's fine. You can put the 15 Thursdays, for example, on the one application.
Perfect.
And
Thanks.
if the event exceeds 15 days, all you need to do is just fill out another application. We don't have a limit on them. The local jurisdictions may, though.
Thank you, Dee. That was very helpful, I'm sure. The next question, the showcase versus special events. Can the showcase sell packaged goods as well as to be consumed on site?
So if you read the definition of these showcase permits, you will see it definitely references 96 fluid ounces per individual per person. So that would depend on the local jurisdiction as well and the local approval you obtain for the event. But there is a limit on what you can sell to each individual, and that limit is 96 fluid ounces with the beer showcase permit.
Perfect. Awesome. Next question. We have a 1B and a 1C liquor license. Does our catering/off-site liquor license suffice for public events, or would we still need a 4C special events license in some cases? We are a brewery, restaurant, event space, restaurant, and do catering and offsite.
Yes. We're getting some wonderful questions, and actually this is a really great question. A lot of licensees that hold the 1B caterer's license, just so you have an understanding of what that license allows for, you cannot just cater alcohol with the 1B license. So that is why a lot of licensees that have the 1A license or the 1C need to get the special use permit, because this special event that they're doing may just not include food, because the caterer's license is part of a meal package, which includes food and alcohol. If you want to just do alcohol at a special event, you have to obtain the special use permit.
Okay. Hope that was helpful. Next question. Do the state licenses go by calendar year or from the date you purchased the license?
Yes. So when we issued your first liquor license to you, which could have been last month or years ago, we always go by the issue date when you received your local license. And you will maintain this expiration date through the life of your license. So as long as you currently have an active state of Illinois license, you will see your state of Illinois liquor license expiration date will not change. So an example I'd like to give you, today in our office, we are issuing new licenses to some new businesses. And the issue date on the license, the local license that they got from their village, city, or town referenced 11/17. So if this license was issued, their local license was issued 11/17, the state expiration date is going to be a month prior the following year. So they walked out with a license today with an expiration date of 10/31 of 24. And that is the expiration date. That month is going to be the expiration date that they will maintain for the history of their license. So generally, the state of Illinois, the expiration dates are very different for each applicant depending on when they got their license. So if you received your local liquor license from the village on the 17th and it was issued today, you come and get your state license. We go a month prior the following year, you will walk out of here with a state of Illinois liquor license referencing 10/31 of 24. So in most cases, you have about a year that the license will be good for. Now, if you came to us today and your local license was issued, let's say in August, your state license would expire July of 24. So that is why we encourage our new applicants to apply as soon as possible. And this, so you can maintain it, you can get that license for a longer period of time.
Perfect, thank you. All right. Just making sure I didn't miss any questions. If I did, please go ahead and submit any more questions that you guys have. I really like for you to get your answers from our expert here. Okay.
I will answer them. I may not have the answers all the time, but we'll try to do our very, very best to answer them. And you've all had some wonderful questions today, actually.
Okay. All right, Shaka, I will ask this one question.
Sure.
What does it take for us to sell our craft beers across state lines, say to bars and restaurants in Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin?
Okay, so we'll get that question quite a bit from our Illinois manufacturers that want to expand their businesses to other states. We in Illinois, we will regulate your operations here in Illinois, what you're doing here, your manufacturing, your retail sales, your self-distribution. Once you want to sell outside of Illinois, you will definitely have to contact those state liquor commissions to find out what you need to obtain in order to be able to sell to their retailers or their consumers. So if you do want to sell your product outside of Illinois, you definitely have to reach out to those states to find out what type of licenses you need. We have, here in Illinois, if you're an out-of-state wine manufacturer, we have a license. If you manufacture wine outside of Illinois, we have a winery shipper's license, for example. If you want to sell that wine you manufacture, let's say in California, to an Illinois resident, you'll have to obtain a winery shipper's license with the state of Illinois in order to sell to Illinois residents. So that's an example of an Illinois license that we would issue to a manufacturer outside of Illinois, for example. And some
Okay.
states make some similar requirements as well, similar licenses.
Okay. Another question for you. Is direct shipping of a craft beer authorized to non-Illinois residents? If so, how can we do that?
So once again, you have to find out wherever that product is going, wherever it's going to go, whatever state it's going to end up in, or where the consumer is located. You're going to have to reach out to that state to find out what type of license you would need from that jurisdiction.
Okay. I'm still looking at this question again. Authorized to non-Illinois residents. Okay, sounds good. Next question. Can we sell our beers to resellers such as the Book of the Month Club for sales to Illinois and non-Illinois residents? And if so, how can we do so?
And that question we got there, Nicole, and that was our legal team, I think, responded to that individual directly.
Perfect, okay. All right, any more questions? Yes. We are residents of Illinois who own a winery in California. We have the federal wine producer license and California shipper's license. What license would we need to have a tasting here in Illinois at an event venue that has their own Illinois liquor license?
So that's simple enough, sounds simple enough. If you're already licensed, you have some type of license here in Illinois, it sounded like you may have maybe the winery shipper's license, which means your product is probably already registered here. You can do tastings and samplings at a licensed premise location. That is via Rule 100.285. I suggest you take a look at that as well. It is under the under divisions legal, under rules and regulations. The tastings and sampling rule is under 100.285. And one of our biggest, criteria is that it's done at a licensed premise location and that the product, obviously is registered with the state of Illinois, either under some type of manufacturer's license, distributor's license, or, in this case, sounds like you may have that winery shipper's license, or possibly a non-resident dealer's license, which is a form of a supplier's license.
Okay, perfect. Well, we are coming up on our 15-minute warning. Are there any additional questions that you all have for Deshanka? If so, please throw them in the chat. Deshanka, I know you and your licensing staff do a wonderful job at looking at licenses, helping people fill out their licenses. Just briefly, if you want to go over the book an appointment option that we have now for people to come in and schedule, this would be a great time to give some people a few more moments to ask questions.
Sure. So we have offices in our Springfield, and we have an office in Chicago, and we have an office in Springfield. On October 23rd, we rolled out a new feature which allows those of you that want to visit our offices to schedule an appointment, and that will be very helpful for not just our team members, but also for you, because we want to spend that time with you, and it's a lot easier, especially if you have questions. If you schedule an appointment, so we can sit down with you and kind of go over the questions you have or your application. We can process it while you're here waiting. So we strongly encourage, those that will be visiting one of our offices, please just schedule an appointment. Appointments are available. For example, if you needed to come in today, if you scheduled it within, this morning or early afternoon, high probability you'd be able to be seen even today. So please, if you're able to, we strongly encourage you to schedule an appointment with us. If you're going to be submitting an application, in person, making a payment, have questions, please schedule an appointment. We like to give each of our licensees that undivided attention, and this helps us do this.
Thank you. Deshanka, one more thing someone mentioned. Could you provide that phone number for the city of Chicago one more time?
Sure. So one of the numbers that we do have is 312-744-6060.
Okay, perfect.
And that's the Division of Business Affairs Consumer Protection for the City of Chicago, which also oversees liquor licenses. They have a liquor licensing division. So I'd reach out to them and they can direct you to the appropriate area.
Okay, and then you mentioned an email. Was that for the cultural affairs and special events?
I did not have their general email. I don't have that with me, but I do. You can, visit their website, and they have some contact information there.
All right, I'll put the information for the website link in the chat right now, so you all can have it.
And I do want to mention last month we had 80% of our licensees submitted their special event applications electronically. They utilized the MyTax Illinois option, so that's great. It also helps us expedite the review and processing of your requests. We do understand sometimes you don't realize that you need the special event license until last minute. And it really helps us, especially in those situations where we don't get the application 14 days in advance, for example, and when they're coming in either a couple of days before or even the day of an event. We've had those scenarios as well. Please try to apply electronically so we can get those reviewed and processed for you as soon as possible.
Sounds good. Okay, everyone. If you have any more questions, please go ahead and throw them in the chat for me and I'll read them out. Just so you know that this webinar will be on our YouTube channel in about a week, a little bit after the holidays. So if you just want to go back and listen to it, feel free. I will throw our YouTube channel link in here right now. And most of our other webinars will also be posted and updated on our YouTube channel after the holidays. So thankfully, Deshanka has been gracious enough to do several this year, and they're very informative. So you can always go back and watch and learn. Here you go. But if we have no more questions, we're going to go ahead and end this particular webinar early. Deshanka, thank you again. I really appreciate all these webinars that you do, and I hope that the industry members and stakeholders also appreciate the time we spend trying to make sure they're informed. And I will let you have the last word.
Perfect. First of all, I want to thank the participants today for sharing your afternoon with us. And, you had some wonderful, wonderful questions, and we are here to assist you, help you. We want you to have a wonderful special event season. I think I reported last month we have issued little over 3,700 special events this year. Pre-COVID, we averaged about 4,000 a year. So we're getting there, and these events are very important for the general public, also for the communities, and we're here to help. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us, email us, call us, and we're here to help you. And thank you so much for joining us today with today's webinar. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Deshanka. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you.